Folks. Thanks for joining. My name is Gar Whaley. I'm one of the co-founders here at Teal, and today I have, as usual, my partner in crime, another co-founder, Reid Johnston. And today's webinar, we're talking Copilot. We do this once a month. So, Reid, what do you want to start with today?
Yeah, I'll share my screen to start off with here. And let me do that quick. Share. Cool. So the first thing we wanted to talk about today really was the Microsoft 365 Copilot Search. So this is a new kind of interface to searching for data within your Teams environment, your SharePoint environment, your calendar, your OneDrive. I would always go to office.com when I would try to search for things. And now Microsoft changed the URL on us. It's m365.cloud.microsoft. And within this interface, you can see I've got Copilot Chat. So I can chat with Copilot AI, and I have Copilot Search.
So this is really the business use cases for somebody like me who can never find anything in the marketing folder.
Exactly.
Is that exactly right?
This is the place to go if you're trying to find something. So I'll do a search. I'll just search tips. Now you can see as I start searching, it's going to surface searches I've done before. It's going to start surfacing some files that I've opened. But before we do that, I just want to call attention to the interface that you can see here. You've got files that you've recently opened or that Copilot thinks you should be looking at. You've got all your recent files here. You can see that some of these files have a little star next to them. That's the AI that will give me a little summary of that document. Now, not all documents have that. It seems to be related to things I've opened recently that Copilot has gone through and done some analysis of. But next to all these items, I have a button that lets me trigger prompts within Copilot Chat. So if I click on this list action items button, it's going to take me into a chat session specifically on this file with that prompt. And then Copilot will give me a response. And that's pretty neat. You know, I don't have to even open the document. It'll just give me the action items, or I can ask whatever I want about this file. So it's surfacing some useful sort of analysis capability. And you can see there's more. It'll give me some other suggested prompts next to a file, summarize it or analyze the trends. But let's go back to my search.
So Reid, for this, just to interrupt real quick, you do need the Copilot license, right?
Well, you need the Copilot $30 license for some of these AI features, but this is evolving very, very fast. Microsoft has continued to expand capabilities of Microsoft 365 Copilot, which, remember, is their cloud interface. Now, they're calling the whole thing Copilot. The $30 license gives you the ability to use Copilot AI in your apps, but they've added a lot of capability for free to all business users. Because remember, Copilot Chat is free for everyone. You don't need to pay $30 for Copilot Chat. That's this interface here. And Microsoft has made announcements and continues to make more announcements of packing in more capabilities to Copilot Chat. So short answer, no, you don't need the $30 license to use this. I'll search for tips. And when I do that, this search results screen will look a little bit familiar for those of you that were using the OneDrive search before or the SharePoint search before. You can see I can change the date range. I can change the type of files that are returned from the search, maybe the person that did the authoring. I can pick which sources I want to filter my results from. And you can see, you know, here's a bunch of files that were returned. And, I could click on any one of these, like here's one back from May. This will just open up a document in our SharePoint site. And this is a transcript or a planned transcript for a tips and tricks that we did. So Copilot Search, to not spend the whole time on this today, Copilot Search is continuing to receive updates and is a powerful tool for finding information, whether it's meeting information, files, calendar information, you name it. Just you can type in a little bit and it'll use the semantic search to find your data.
And to get to it again, you just go to m365.cloud.microsoft.
Yep. Yeah, or if you're like me, you could go to office.com. And when I go to office.com, it redirects back to.
Okay, that is easier.
Yeah.
Or you could just bookmark it, of course.
You could just bookmark it too, for sure.
All right, so I think next we wanted to talk about some scheduling prompts.
Yep. So a lot of us are using Copilot to help us prepare for things or to give us a recap of what has happened in the past. And we're performing that activity over and over and over again. So as we were getting ready for this, we were talking about how I get ready for my week by looking at calendar activity to understand what my team is doing, right? So I can put in a prompt here and I can say, help me prepare, give me a heads up on upcoming meetings this week. So what this is going to do is it's going to look at my calendar and it's going to find all my meetings that are coming up this week. And it's going to give me a kind of a nice summary, point by point of what's in my calendar. So we're doing this live. It'll take a second.
So question just arose. Do you have to have it set to work there? Does it matter?
You need to be on the work tab so it can see your internal data. So if you're on web, it won't surface any of your calendar data. So this is going through and it's going to give me kind of a rundown of all my stuff going on.
So this will be interesting.
Yeah, here's this meeting.
We're doing it live.
Doing it live. It's a little slow.
Interesting, but you're saying that you run this at the beginning of every week or just the day?
This is an example that you could run on a Monday morning or on a Sunday night to prepare you for the week. I'm going to hit escape to stop this because it's going a little slow. Let's go back here and I'll show you one that I ran earlier. I'll let it stop.
That's interesting right there for your daughter's. I assume that's your daughter's dance class that you have not RSVP'd that yet.
That is true. That is consistent with my pattern of behavior. Is that what you're saying? So let me click on one that I ran before. Let's just see here. This should open up. Give it a second. It's thinking.
Oh, there you go.
Okay. Well, here's one that came up. So what internal meetings do I have coming up this week? So it gave me a couple of responses for blocks that I have. Now, if this was something I was running every week, and my calendar changes every week, so I could run this on a Monday, or I could run it on a Sunday night to help me prepare for the week. Scheduling the prompt allows Copilot to run it for me and show me the results, so I don't have to think to do this anymore. So when I get my response, I can come down here under more options and I can schedule this prompt. This is what we're trying to show here. So when I schedule this prompt, I can pick when do I want this prompt to run. And I could say, okay, it starts today. I want to run it, maybe at 8 a.m. or 7:30 a.m. So this runs first thing. And I want it to run on every Monday. Copilot only lets me run it 15 times, so it will eventually stop, and then I'll have to put this in again, which I don't know why they do this. I don't particularly like.
Probably for resources, right? It takes resources to run this.
For sure. But now if I save this, you can see I have one that I've already put in here from before, but now what internal meetings are coming up this week? What this is doing is it's creating a Power Automate flow in the background. So we could always do this. We could always use Power Automate to interact with Copilot, but that's complicated. So for the end user that wants to just rerun a prompt, this is a really easy way to do it. So now every week, starting on the 20th, this prompt will rerun and it will show up in my chat history so I can see that. You also have the ability to receive an email. So rather than look for it in the chat, Copilot could email me as well.
Have you ever done that? So does it email you that the chat is ready?
I tested it earlier and I actually couldn't find the email from when it ran. But then when I looked a little closer, if I go back here, I can access my scheduled prompts up in the upper right-hand corner. I saw that, oh, it didn't run when I thought it did. I scheduled it for next week. So I haven't gotten the email yet.
But the way I'm reading that is it's not giving you the information. It's telling you that the prompt is ready.
Exactly. Yep. Probably a link to the chat history.
We'll update on that on another call, because I think the email would be maybe better if the data was in the email, because then you could just read the email to see what it is. But that said, now with the app, I mean, I don't want to sidetrack the whole conversation, but with the app on your phone, on your mobile, it's very easy.
Yeah, I'm finding that I'm using the app interchangeably with Copilot on my PC. Like I'll start a conversation with Copilot on my PC, and then I will finish it on the app, or vice versa.
Why? Because you get up and you go somewhere else, or is there a reason?
Yeah, because I get up, or because I hit that microphone button and I'm speaking instead of typing. And
so I think we're getting off topic a little bit, but let's explore that, because I don't have the microphone and everybody may not have the microphone. Why is that?
Yeah, so there's two things there. The first is the transcribe microphone button, where you talk and it basically types into the input box.
Yep,
I use that. Yeah, I use that all the time. The other one, though, is called voice mode, and that is rolling out now. Not everyone has access to that. Voice mode is very similar to the ChatGPT voice mode, which has been available for a long time, except you're now able to, because you're using Copilot, use the conversational voice with your internal data. So I could say, hey, give me an update on what's going on with my schedule this week. And Copilot is going to conversationally respond, basically giving me a rundown, kind of like what I see here, but in a more conversational way. So.
Right. So as our CIO, could you get that released to me as soon as possible? Because that's very powerful. But that is a real sidetrack from what we wanted to talk about. But the point being that there's features that are being pushed out to the app, and keep your eye on the app to get that voice mode. But we're pushing our time here, Reid. Is that everything on scheduling prompts that you want to talk about? Because there's one more thing that we sort of wanted to get to today for the attendees.
Yep. To quickly recap schedule, when you type in a prompt, down at the bottom under more options, that's where you can schedule that prompt. To access your previously scheduled prompts, it's in the upper right-hand corner under scheduled prompts. So just to recap that.
Thank you for that summary. And you use it in one example. The business case was to get ready for meetings. Yep. Is there another business case that you use a scheduled prompt for?
Yeah, actually, and I did this today to help me catch up on emails from last week. So you could schedule a prompt on a Monday morning to catch you up on recent emails from the prior week that maybe were urgent or had outstanding tasks. And when I can't show that here because it's got a lot of sensitive data, but it was very valuable, and it helped me catch a couple of things that I wasn't remembering well.
highlight what you might have typed in the prompt. You don't have to show it, of course, because of what you just said, but
Yeah,
what's
so you could say something like recap my urgent emails from last week, or recap emails from last week that contained tasks that I haven't followed up on.
That's awesome.
So,
all right, let's move on to the last thing we want to get to today, and I think that's instructions in memory, Copilot instructions in memory.
yep. So this is a newer feature, and I've actually experienced some mixed results with this, but I'll show you how to get to it, and then I'll show you how to interact with it. So again, I'm in Copilot, I'm in work. I can go into the three dots and up to settings. Now, settings has custom instructions and Copilot memory. So the first one we'll talk about is custom instructions. So when you go in here, this is sort of the master prompt or the system prompt that Copilot will use when it's interacting with you for how you want it to behave. So I say, write in a conversational tone, avoid em dashes, be clear. I've added some context as well. Tell the truth, use factual up-to-date resources, tell me if you can't confirm something, and so on and so on. I've added some things to avoid. Fabricating
Questions, right? Some
facts.
questions. Sorry to
Yeah,
interrupt. Questions. You see my hand up there. What are M dashes or M? I can't
so
read. And
the
then
M
the
dash.
second question is that box was blank when you started. Like today on this webinar, it wasn't blank because you had. But if a person was to start from scratch, it would be blank, correct?
Correct. Yeah. If you have not entered any custom instructions yet, this will be blank, and you'll want to start to populate it with information for how you want Copilot to act. And there's a lot on the internet of these folks that have identified different instructions that they think work or that don't work. I've had avoid em dashes in my instructions for a long time.
So what is it again?
The em dash is like a hyphen, but it's a little bit elongated. Mm-hmm. So when Copilot would provide a response, it would use an em dash in the middle of its response. And I never write that way. So I never wanted that included in any response. Now, even though I had this in here, it would not always follow that rule. Just like a person isn't going to always do what you tell them to do, right? So these other instructions that I've added, it's a lot. This is newer, and I'll have to get back to you on, is it working or not? But the idea here is to try to force Copilot to prove its response rather than hallucinate, because all AI will hallucinate. And this is to try to avoid some of that, but we'll see. So custom instructions, you want to populate your custom instructions with how you want things to sound. Like I want professional, but conversational, Spartan tone without corporate jargon. You may want to sound different than that. You may want to sound more friendly. You may want to sound more funny. You can tell it to do that, and it will adjust the output of the language. Got it?
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I'm trying to read what you have written there. But maybe we can post it to our website.
Yeah, we could. Yeah.
Or you could write a prompt to let Copilot tell you what review all of my emails and documents and come up with a custom set of instructions for me. So absolutely. Anything on memory before we close out?
Yeah, so memory, this is the next piece. So when you're interacting with Copilot, if you tell it or type something with certainty, like my dog's name is Izzy, my role is the CIO, I will be out of town on a particular day. These are all things that I typed in recently, and it saved that as memory. So the idea here is,
how did you get it to save it?
I'd actually, it intuitively figured out that I wanted to save it. So let's do that now. I'll say, I am in the office Mondays and Fridays. So if I type that in, Copilot updated its memory. I didn't tell it to, but it just interpreted that that's something that it should remember. So now when I'm putting in prompts in the future, it's going to take this additional context into consideration when it's giving me a response. Now this could be a problem. Maybe it updated its memory with something that I don't want in its memory anymore. So I can go
because
in,
you're not in the office on Fridays anymore.
generally not, right? So I can go into manage memories and I can find that entry and I can delete it. Or I can delete all my memories at the bottom.
So Reid, just real quick, because I didn't catch that. I don't know if audience members didn't. How did you get to that? So
Yep.
close this window. How did you get to it?
So when I'm in chat, if I hover over that memory updated, I get a little pop-up that says, I'm in the office and I've got an option here to manage memories. That's one place. The other way to do it is up in the upper right-hand corner, I go back into settings and then Copilot Memory.
Okay.
And then this will show me the memories that have been recorded.
So folks right after this webinar can get off and or they could be doing it right now, go into settings, Copilot Memory, and make sure that or see what's there.
Yep. And this is different than your Outlook personalization that we've talked about in the past.
Right. Yep.
I wish it wasn't, but it is. So
yeah, great.
So yeah, that's Copilot Memory.
All right. Well, anything else you wanted to share before we run out of time here? We're just slightly over, but good stuff today, Reid. Thanks so much. Anything else that you want to leave on the table?
Yeah, just that this stuff is changing rapidly. You might be thinking, how do we keep up to date? A lot of reading the latest news, Microsoft Learn, Microsoft blogs. I follow a lot of folks online on LinkedIn that are working on this stuff every day. It's evolving at a really rapid pace, but some of these features, some of them are a little fluff, but some of them are very, very helpful, like the scheduling prompts.
Fantastic. Reid, thanks so much for the time today, folks. Thanks for joining us. If you have any questions for Reid or I, please feel free to send them in. Of course, we'll pop up on the screen here, info@tealtech.com will always get to us. We'll see you next time. Reid, have a great rest of your day.
Thanks a lot. You too. Bye-bye.